Welcome to Talks with Dr. Gupta and friends. Imagine this. You wake up, you check the news, and you discover that the United States has launched a full-scale military strike on a sovereign nation and captured its sitting president. That's not a movie plot, that's the headline the world woke up to on January 3, 2026. Early this morning, U.S. forces struck multiple sites across Venezuela, including the capital, Caracas, airports, ports, key infrastructure. And then came the confirmation. President Donald Trump announced that Venezuela's internationally recognized president had been captured by U.S. Special Forces. An unprecedented move against a sitting head of state. So today, we need to ask a hard question. Is the official explanation the real one? Or just the surface story? The administration's case rests on three pillars. First, Venezuela is described as a narco-terrorist state, flooding the U.S. with drugs. Second, it is framed as a direct national security threat, with fentanyl compared to a weapon of mass destruction. And third, this is presented as a humanitarian mission to restore democracy to the Venezuelan people. It sounds familiar, almost too familiar, because when we examine the source material closely, cracks begin to appear. Let's start with the drugs. According to data from the UN and the DEA, more than 95% of cocaine entering the United States originates in Colombia, not Venezuela. In fact, a senior official from the previous U.S. administration admitted publicly that Venezuela's role in the drug trade is, quote, insignificant. So if the primary justification is weak, where should we really be looking? The answer may lie beneath Venezuelan soil, 303 billion barrels of proven oil reserves. That is not a typo. Venezuela holds the largest proven oil reserves on Earth, more than Saudi Arabia. And the signals here are not subtle. The US-backed opposition leadership has openly promised American companies the chance to privatize oil, gas, and mining assets. President Trump himself has repeatedly described Venezuela's oil nationalization as a theft from US corporations, and has been equally clear about his intention to reverse it. But this story doesn't end with oil. Venezuela is also rich in gold, rare earth elements, and strategic minerals, the very materials needed to build advanced technology supply chains outside China's control. To understand what's happening, the sources tell us we need to rewind the clock, all the way back to 1823, to the Monroe Doctrine. The idea was simple. The Western Hemisphere is America's sphere of influence. External powers stay out. For 2 centuries, critics have called it a blueprint for regional dominance. And today, it's no longer whispered. U.S. national security documents openly argue that America must control or own critical assets in the hemisphere and push out external competitors, which raises the obvious question: who is the competitor? The answer is China. Beijing has now surpassed the U.S. as the top trading partner for much of South America. Venezuela, in particular, has become a strategic Chinese ally, financially, diplomatically, and economically. For Washington, that's not just inconvenient, it's unacceptable. And if this all feels eerily familiar, that's because we've seen this script before. The source material draws a direct line to Iraq, 2003. Then, the justification was weapons of mass destruction. Now, it's narco-terrorism. Different language, same structure, a public security threat, masking deeper motivations, resources, and geopolitical control. So what does this mean for the world? We are left with 2 competing realities. One says this was a necessary intervention to protect national security and restore democracy. The other sees a blatant violation of international law, a war to seize resources and reassert dominance. And that leaves us with one final, uncomfortable question. If a powerful nation can unilaterally attack another country, capture its leader, and justify it with disputed claims, what does that signal about the future of international law? Are we entering a new era, where rules matter less than power, and sovereignty yields to strategic interest? And if so, what does that mean for the global balance of power? Stay safe, and happy new thinking.